There are federal agents in here right now, ones that are tasked with observing and ones that are certainly just simply fans. The one group of people I think I don't actually have any fans in is cops. That's it. Outside of that, I have fans from every different kind of background in American society, except for cops, I think. There are former cops in here. Anyway, pre-ACA as well. This is pre-Obamacare. Something to remember. It's kind of an interesting thing. It's an interesting phenomena that like pre-ACA health insurance was so unimaginably cruel that healthcare providers could deny people health insurance that they wanted to like pay for due to pre-existing conditions. Now, this was such a uniquely cruel aspect of American for-profit health insurance that virtually every single Republican that is still in action aggressively railed against and aggressively lied against in an effort to defend the pre-existing structure, only to, once legislated away, turn around and act like it never actually happened at all. It is such an unimaginable cruelty that most Americans, even fucking new Republicans, probably don't remember a time where pre-Obamacare, people used to literally have to fight tooth and nail. It's a very interesting process. It's a very interesting process because it's out there for those who seek it out. You can go and find the very same Republicans that are still in action and the very same Republican content creators that are still in operation openly say this is socialism, this is barbaric, this is violent. To force private enterprise to cover people with pre-existing conditions are unacceptable. Just remember that. They lied about it. They said they're going to do death panels with Obamacare. They're going to kill the old. Wanted to kill herself. She's a whistleblower. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do we always say? What do we always say? It does not matter what you do. If you are brave enough to take accountability, and even braver to go speak in front of fucking Congress about the actions that are not only normalized, but also expected and celebrated and rewarded, you should be charitable to this person. Jesus Christ. Holy shit, Americans are so goddamn draconian. Even a murderer can be rehabilitated, okay? Oh. You need to be normal. You cannot lean into this reactionary attitude you have. You have to understand, in this time and in this space, people like her, there were hundreds of thousands of people like her that did not exhibit the bravery to go out and speak in front of Congress, to throw their lives away. Okay? There is no systematic change that takes place if there aren't brave people like this. If you do not believe that people have the capacity to reform and actually fight against the awfulness, the awful things that they subjected others to, then why the fuck are you a leftist? We are all victims of social conditioning. You cannot overcome things that you learn as norms as a byproduct of your material conditions. So when someone actually does overcome that, you have to celebrate it. You have to be understanding. This is a person in the process of atonement in a system that many never even reach. Okay? Half the chat screaming at her weren't even born in 2003. Yeah, it just doesn't. It's very frustrating that we already have a structure designed to kill the poor. Okay? And it is so normalized. This was in 1996. Thank you. It's not even from 2003. It's from 1996. And you guys are out here fucking yelling at a person. Oh. Please. Some of you are more predisposed, not with justice, but with vengeance. This is the most American mindset. You cannot have this mentality if you want to be truly a progressive person, an empathetic person, a person who wants to make change, a person who cares about solidarity, a person who cares about instilling class consciousness in others. Okay? You must always remember that just like you, everyone is on their own personal journey. The system is designed to churn out results, not like hers here, but results such as what she did in the past leading up to this moment. That's the reason why so many people, there are still plenty of people who look to Brian Thompson as a fantastic individual, as someone who gave back to their community. Please. Yeah, use a bunch more big words that will convince us all. I'll use little words, okay? Every person has done something horrifying at a certain point in their lives, okay? Or every person has, in certain instances, been rude or ruthless or bullied someone. Should we just keep you to that standard? Stop being a fucking dickhead and understand that people have the capacity to change. And celebrate those who do. Also, fuck you. Here, take a permaban. There you go. You get no rehabilitation. How about that? Get a little bit of your own fucking medicine. One of the funniest parts about like this anger and resentment towards socialized medicine, or like people saying like Canadian healthcare sucks, is that it is literally underfunded. The solution to that is to give it more money. Okay, that's it. Not only are they greatly exaggerating the horrifying nature of Canadian healthcare, but it's literally because like aspects of Canadian healthcare that are falling short happen exclusively because of underfunding. This is a mechanism to bring about privatization. They do this in the NHS in the UK as well. Two and a half decades, almost two decades of austerity led by the fucking Tories have crippled the NHS. So what happens when the NHS is crippled? Because it's underfunded. Okay? Then you're like, we got to do private substitutes. We got to do private substitutes. We got to bring in some private healthcare. Then, slowly but surely, private healthcare takes over socialized medicine, national healthcare. The irony, of course, is the very same austerity measures that happen in socialized structures in an effort to privatize already are baked into the free market capitalism that we love here in the United States of America. Because when healthcare is for profit, it is not. It doesn't exist in certain places. That's why, God forbid, you actually get into an injury in like a rural part of the country. In many of these rural parts of the country, when you get injured, you just don't even have a fucking hospital to go to because they closed, because it's not profitable, because there's no profit, even though the damn near entirety of the American hospital system is also pretty much backed by voluntary contributions and also a shit ton of local and federal subsidies. So we have the exact same problems that they do, and we pay. What do you say about the fact that specialists are flocking to the U.S. because salaries are way higher, and that contributes to why specialist wait times are longer in Canada than the U.S.? And to be honest, I don't know how to fix that for Canada. Or on the opposite, I don't know how to bring about single-payer healthcare with the U.S. without drastically reducing the salaries for specialists. Yeah, no, it's going to happen. The AMA will be the final fucking step in that process. But it's the same principle behind the housing market. No, that's not even true. No, it is true. It is true to a certain degree. There is, like, American specialists do get paid a lot more. It's like very unique shit that America thrives on in terms of healthcare. Like, they'll say, oh, if you have like a unique type of brain cancer, America is the best at dealing with that, right? And that's it. It's ironic because like America is cooking Canada in that regard as well, because it's just like the average pay for doctors is significantly higher here. My argument always has been that Medicare for all works alongside, like socialized medicine works alongside socialized education. Because if you didn't get saddled with like $1 million of debt to go to medical school, then you don't have to justify such higher salaries to begin with. But of course, that's, again, there goes Hasan advocating for more socialism on top of the socialism that he's advocating for. And it's kind of funny because, like, that's just how it works. And on top of that, wait till I tell you about the additional incentives that must exist. When there's need for more doctors, for example, a competent government is supposed to not only offer subsidies, but also incentivize people by paying them to go on an educational journey to become doctors. That's normally how it's supposed to work, and it does. In other countries, that's how it works. The government understands that there is need for certain sectors, so they pay you to go and get the education to work in that sector. And once you get paid to get this education, and you have to work in that sector. For example, in Turkey, I don't know if I'm fucking this up, but basically, because education is free, okay, all the way up to college level, even though there's private education as well. When you get that free education, you have to go get assigned to work by a lottery system in an underserved area. Turkey is a shithole. Why even mention it, Lamau? That's why all our doctors leave for USA, Lamau. 1 out of 5 Canadians don't have a family doctor, Lamau. Makes 0 sense. Turkey is a shithole. Why even mention it, Lamau? See, that's the one chatter that's going to really love that private healthcare. You know what I mean? I can't wait. I can't wait for that private freedom to come to your fucking dumbass country, okay? Like, Turkey is an incredibly poor country. Turkey is run by a corrupt autocrat who is insanely, I mean, he's a kleptocrat through and through, okay? Yes, I'm a capitalist. Hopefully we get private healthcare. Oh, God. Yes, baby. Yes. Yes. Advocate for your own demise, you fucking peasant. It's great. My lordship, we must restore the monarchy. My hand for you, good sir. I am a peasant. I advocate those who simply do not have the capacity and the mental fortitude to understand. My lordship is godsend. He knows best. Yeah, if we get private healthcare, more doctors will come to Canada. All our doctors leave because it's public. Yeah, exactly. Me lordship, you know best. It's so funny because you're not factoring in that, like, even if more doctors come to your country in that process, your dumbass is not going to be able to pay for it. Oh, so good. He's like, well, the doctors are now bountiful, and yet I cannot pay. The doctors are more bountiful, and yet healthcare is now no longer given to people by need, but instead by those who can pay for it. And it seems I cannot pay for it. But it's okay, because at least I now know that there are more doctors in Canada. Also, remember how I said in socialized medical systems, this is born out of underfunding? I didn't say to get rid of public health care. I just said it would be nice if we got private health care too, as more Canadians would have access to doctors. Yeah, no, totally. No, definitely. Considering that you're angry and not looking at the actual solution, which would be to fund the healthcare system further, you do not understand that it's coming for you regardless. Also, I thought that you could get private healthcare in Canada. A lot of people who have money don't have family doctors. So even if you want to see a doctor, you can't see one. I'm not angry at all. What do you mean? Fund that? Fund what healthcare system? Healthcare is already funded. There it is, dude. Yeah. There's only a finite pool of money that healthcare can be funded by. It can never be increased. The smartest private healthcare enjoyer in Canada. The smartest private healthcare demander in Canada. I don't understand. Healthcare is funded already. Don't you know? Finite? How is it finite? I'm being sarcastic, dumbass. It's not. It's not finite. That's my point. You can put more money into the system. Also, I'm pretty sure you guys already have fucking private healthcare as a substitute as well. I don't know if you've ventured into that territory. In that process, you could even pay doctors an even higher wage if necessary, or hire more doctors, or hire more nurses. It's ironic because as someone who's in the pocket of big registered nurse, I am very aware that these exact same problems exist in America as well. One of the most common things that nurses go on strike for is the very fact that hospitals refuse to hire more nurses. And instead, whenever people go on strike, they'll just hire fucking nurses that traveling nurses instead to make up for the work stoppage. They pay them a lot more than the actual nurses that are, full-time salary staff too. So don't worry. The very same problems with socialized medicine that could be solved through more funding of these government-offered programs very much exist in the United States of America as well. We can't because they all leave Canada to make more money in the USA, only for certain specialties like plastic surgery and dentistry. What are you saying? Oh. It's so funny because every Canadian in the chat is yelling at this Canadian for demanding private healthcare in Canada, and instead saying, no, just fucking put more money into the healthcare system that exists. No, he's saying that the only private healthcare that exists is for certain specialties like plastic surgery and dentistry. What part of Canada do you live in, Chatter? Toronto, T dot. Let's look it up. Private practices in Toronto. Here, I'll do this Googling for you. Top 10 private practice doctors near Toronto, Ontario. Saskatoon Agreement of 1962 permitted doctors to opt out of Medicare, and with the exception of Ontario, physicians across the country can still do the same. Some provinces do have barriers to limit private practice. As of 2024, the median salary for a doctor in Toronto is estimated to be $143,000 per year. However, the salary range for doctors in Ontario can vary widely from $72,000 to $336,000 annually. The average salary for a doctor in Ontario is $166,000 a year. Here, there you go. You can go to a nurse practitioner with murky rules in a private clinic in Ontario. Ontario is a conservative premier, Doug Ford. Dude, you're just wrong. I swear to God, if he says Ontario, I'm going to lose it. Go to East York. They literally have private clinics there. Lamau, he's moving the goalposts. Now he wants a psychiatrist. If he's just looking for a family doctor, as he specified earlier, nurse practitioners provide primary health care at private clinics. A lot are subscription based. That's not the same as seeing a doctor, buddy. So you can get it. You just don't want to get it. You specifically want it to be a doctor and not a nurse practitioner. You can get your scripts from them, all this shit, but it doesn't matter. I'm trying to help you, man. I'm trying to offer some healthcare solutions to you're specifically like, nah, you don't understand. I have to have it be private. But now you're like, no, I actually have to have it not just be a private clinic, but I want it to be a doctor as well. Would you rather get medical advice from a doctor or a nurse, lol? I mean, I would rather get medical advice in a fucking socialized medicine structure. So that's it. That's my choice. I advocate for that all the time. And seemingly, while you live in this privilege, you still have the dumbass opinion that it should be privatized. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It doesn't seem like you agree with me. Not fully privatized. No, I don't want any sort of privatization. If it were up to me, it would be a national healthcare system that's fully funded. Again, 1 out of 5 people don't have family doctors. Yeah, 1 out of every 3rd American doesn't have fucking primary healthcare providers at all. So it doesn't fucking matter. Okay? That's a lot of people for 35 million people in this country. Yeah, your tiny ass fucking country still gets it done. Okay, so shut the fuck up. We have 330 million in the United States of America, and 1/3 don't have a primary care physician. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know anything. That's because it's private. Yeah, that's fucked up. It's not public in the USA though. Brother, you don't understand. And I don't know if I can ever get this across your thick dome, okay? That is what you can look forward to with private healthcare. You're like, "Oh, but there should be some semblance of like socialized medicine." And then also then some private partnerships, some private private and public partnerships. Like that's the best path forward. And I'm telling you, instead of funding the current existing public structure, opening up ways for more privatization will unironically lead to your country looking a lot like mine. That's the problem. I can't believe we're having this conversation over literally how devastating American healthcare is because it's fully private. Also important, I don't know if you mentioned this either, but the higher pay for American doctors doesn't necessarily attract the best doctors. It attracts the ones that want to make the most money. Plenty of extraordinary doctors do work for Doctors Without Borders or pro bono because they care about people, not for money. I know, that's capitalism brain rot that I forgot to address as well. The idea that like money is the only incentivization structure for anyone to do anything. But obviously, we cannot rely on the magnanimous nature of humans. So I do understand that argument as well. Like that it needs to, there obviously still needs to be an incentive structure. But the solution to that is to, once again, fund the healthcare system adequately rather than crippling it, starving the beast, if you will, only with the interests of sneaking in for-profit healthcare institutions as a substitute. Doug Ford's plan to outsource surgeries to for-profit clinics won't save Ontario's healthcare system, experts said at a public hearing on the bill. Investing in public hospitals, which communities have spent hundreds of years building, is the answer, they say.
It will poach the staff from our public healthcare system. There's no magic poof of human resources. Shortages in hospitals will be made worse, and hospitals will be left with all the complex cases as private clinics skim off the easiest patients. How does that make sense?
For 100 years or more, literally hundreds of towns across Ontario have worked to build their local public hospitals. Those communities have donated.
American private healthcare is shitty, all right, but American pink-colored vision of public healthcare is not counting on a lot of its own problems. I think there's need for both public and private. Man, stop this nonsense, okay? Only one kind, the monopoly, appears and start doing whatever they want. Yes, I would much rather have a monopoly that the government runs because ultimately that would actually impact American lives in a positive way in every facet. Because once the government is actually paying for American welfare, then they can no longer fucking make every American obese by having our dog shit food supply as well. Okay? I hate Euro chatters who fucking operate on this like mixed market economy attitude, not realizing that if it wasn't for the fucking socialists and the trade unions and the communists that fucking fought long and hard to ensure that there was at least like some underlying infrastructure, that you wouldn't even be able to say this kind of shit. Okay? The instance of profiteering in every sector inevitably overtakes the not-for-profit public sector, no matter what. Okay? Democracy can only hold on for so long. You're already seeing the fucking damaging aspects of austerity with the sinister purpose of privatization happening all around Europe. And your right-wing politicians are literally pointing to Muslim refugees and shit and trans people in the same exact vein that we do here in the United States of America to make you not pay attention as they rob you fucking blind. If you're wondering why the very same institutions that you relied on that were, publicly funded are no longer as good as they used to be maybe 10 years ago, that is the reason. Because ultimately they will cripple it. They will underfund it. They will cripple it. And then when people get mad about the lack of quality care, when people get mad about the wait times on public transit, for example, inevitably they will sell it off to a private corporation. And that private corporation might actually make it look good in the first couple of years when they're operating. But ultimately, they will make it so much worse. The UK learned that the fucking hard way with its railroads, okay? And then, what do you have? You have no one. You have no accountability. You have people who are not accountable to anyone, operating under this idea that, like, well, the free market will actually fix the problems. It's far too late at that point. Are you actually advocating for 100% public health? It's just not feasible. Yeah, I am. And it absolutely is feasible. The fuck are you talking about? Like, the NHS still exists, regardless of the conservative initiatives to destroy it, okay? What do you mean it just is not 100% feasible? What are you talking about? Why do people just say these insane things? It has to be hybrid. No, the fuck it doesn't. It literally does not. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Americans are never getting even fucking a hybrid structure anyway. So y'all dumbasses can fantasize like you're fucking European social democrats who are also volunteering away the pre-existing public services so that privatization can come through. Have fun.
Decided to go to Great Britain to find out how a hospital...
But you don't understand, it has to be, because if it isn't, then he would be wrong. This guy said, I'm from Denmark and we wouldn't, Sweden wouldn't either. Only country in Europe I think might do it is Norway, but that's because they got that oil money and it's still only a maybe. Hold on. Where's the Norwegian chatter who right before you literally said, even in fucking Norway, we're getting cooked? Where is it? Someone right before you was like, I'm in Norway and this shit. Norway wouldn't. Oh, there it is. Holy fuck no. And I live in Norway. Only one party here in Norway would do that, and that's the Red Party, and they're socialistic to the max. It was on screen. I was looking for another chat. There's a bunch of other Norwegian chatters. That's what is like so shocking to me about the European Social Democrat chatters that comprise some of my biggest haters. Like it is always so weird that a lot of European SOCDEM chatters, maybe not many of you in here right now, but so many of my haters are like those globe emoji Twitter accounts that are like, I'm a social democrat in Europe, in a European country, and I hate this Hasan guy. And I think a lot of it stems from my anti-NATO position and anti-American imperialism position, because they're just like, they straight up have a very nationalist, social democratic opinion, if that makes sense. But it's crazy that they don't even recognize that, you know, all of the very same problems that are happening in America, it's accelerating in Europe as well. Hasan is a fucking terrorist. Okay, please answer. How is it people go to austerity with all those lovely benefits? I'm sorry for spamming. I really don't get it. Dude, you think democracy is real? What are you talking about? If given the opportunity, if you asked every American, like, hey, would you rather fucking bomb countries overseas or fix the goddamn roads, the potholes, fix the goddamn infrastructure, make sure that every American can be taken care of in a public healthcare system, what the fuck do you think they would say? There is no real democracy. We don't have a real democracy. And what semblance of democracy we have, what semblance of theoretical democracy we have is also crumbling. So it just only gets worse and worse and worse. Nobody is voting for austerity. You can sometimes package it by saying, we're going to give you tax cuts so you have more take-home pay. Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher did similar things when advocating for neoliberalism early on. But since then, it has become infinitely easier starving the beast is easy. Because you're destroying something. Destroying something is much easier than building it. Okay? So all you need to do is implement the first process of destruction. You lower the amount of money, or you slowly but surely reduce the amount of money that certain social safety nets are getting. Then those services diminish. Those services get worse and worse. People get resentful and angry and say, oh man, this shit sucks. What the fuck is this? And lo and behold, you have private alternatives. And those private alternatives are shiny. Those private alternatives look better. They have more money. They're usually managed by really wealthy benefactors. So then people go, okay, but well, I want that nice thing then. I want that shiny thing. It seems like privatization is the way to go. And then the nefarious private enterprise comes in and basically stabs publicly subsidized public services directly in the fucking heart. We live in the ashes of that neoliberal agenda. That is precisely why no American believes that the government is ever, going to defend them. No American ever believes that the government is actually, doing right by them. So, of course, they're like, why the fuck should I pay the government? Fuck taxes. And that's the attitude that a lot of people have. Fuck taxes. Taxes are theft. There are more calls for austerity when taxes are theft. That's how it works. You understand it now? It's much easier to break things. It's much harder to build them. It is virtually impossible in America nowadays to even rebuild confidence in the government, to rebuild confidence in our institutions. So people, of course, say, well, fuck them. I want more money then. I want more of the money that I made in return. And it's ironic because socialists advocate for you to have higher take-home pay. They just want to take it from the profits that you generate for your bosses. Austerity is a tried and true way to cut inflation and bring back some private investment, especially when your currency is not the US dollar, but a couple points higher inflation. Cutting necessary is better than cutting necessary service to pursue austerity measures. What is austerity? You always mention it. It's belt tightening. It's cutting funds. Does not understand that like it's fucked up that they're not getting paid enough, and also simultaneously they're living in the communist socialist shithole of Cuba. I don't get it. I don't understand. Where is the profit incentive? What about the profit margins? How does this work? Wait, certainly though, there can't be any innovative medical products in Cuba, right? Certainly. Because obviously I've been told my whole life that without incentives, financial incentives, there is no real incentive to innovate medically, right? There's no vaccine for lung cancer, for example. Like, there's no way. If someone were to tell me, what is this Wikipedia page? Sema-Vax EGF is a vaccine used to treat cancer, specifically non-small cell lung carcinoma. It's composed of recombinant human epidermal growth factor, conjugated as a protein carrier. The vaccine was developed by the Center of Molecular Immunology and... What? Are you telling me that in spite of the fact that they don't have a profit incentive, that they were able to... What's next? Since 2011, they've had a lung cancer vaccine? Well, America has issues with lung cancer. I'm sure that it's readily available in the United States of America, right? Right? Wait, the United States embargo against Cuba forbids U.S. citizens from seeking medical treatment in Cuba. However, some cancer patients in the U.S. have defied the embargo and traveled to Cuba to get treatment for Sema-Vax. No. You mean to tell me that Cuba, in spite of the profit incentive, was able to... Wait. Wait, it's against the law to seek out this lung cancer vaccine? I'm sure it's incredibly costly, right? I wonder if this article will mention how expensive it is. It's probably like $1 million, right? Like, I assume. Like, It's gotta be super expensive. It costs approximately $1 per shot to manufacture. You know, I'd rather die of lung cancer than get this goddamn socialist medication. Okay? That's what I say. It's given by nurse practitioners, so it doesn't even count. China now has a diabetes vaccine / cure. I wonder if there's some kind of correlation. I thought that they were also doing... Yeah, you might as well die a true American than fucking go to Cuba. Rather than profit incentive, the reason in the US, because drug development is super costly, so companies need to... Oh, no way. Dude, companies need to offset the risk? That's so crazy. Drug development is famously not costly anywhere else. Why didn't I think of that? Dude, why didn't I think of that? It's not actually the profit motive. It's the thing that we're saying is not the profit motive as a substitute for the profit motive, even though it is the profit motive. It's those pesky regulations. It's just crazy because it's still publicly funded research that these guys get the patents from, but you know. A lot of the novel chemical compound discovery actually happens in the publicly funded research side, but I guess there's got to be some reason for why there's so much R&D spending happening in the pharmaceutical industry outside of the publicly funded labs. Oh, that's right. They're doing research and development to develop new ways to juggle patents to ensure that they continue sitting on patents, extending it by 7 years, year over year, to ensure that there's no generics. And oftentimes when there's alternative cures that are discovered in the process of R&D, if it is at the end of the lifeline of said patent, oftentimes companies will just toss aside that research because the reality of the matter is that drug will no longer be maintained because there's generic alternatives that can be sold at much cheaper, and therefore the profits have completely the profit motive has been eliminated, which is of course anti-innovation. Famously, that's why when the guy who invented insulin was like, I'm gonna make as much money as I possibly can off of this drug. That's what he said. I remember. The Canadian guy, right? The guy who was like, I hope that everyone makes a lot of money off of this invention. I am going to sell it. I'm going to sell this patent for what? Wait a minute. Some chatters are telling me that he sold the patent for $1? What? $1? Wait a minute. What a dumbass. Does he not know? What a dumb fuck. Okay, I'm done being sarcastic. Everything I said is sarcasm for the for the fellow neurodivergents in the chat. I'm being sarcastic, okay? The notion that you need money as a primary incentive to do good is contradicted by history, where massive leaps of discovery have occurred throughout time by many people who did not give a single fuck about making money, including but not limited to, obviously, Cuba. It was amazing. Fantastic documentary. Shouts out to Michael Moore for making this free. And he has more. He has Fahrenheit 11.9. He's done so many of these. Honestly, Michael Moore. But that's all for today. Okay, that's all I got. We're gonna hang out with my family. That was my first ever full Michael Moore documentary that I watched, by the way. That's crazy, right? Anyway, tomorrow we got a lot more fun stuff lined up. So get excited for it. Peace, everybody. And also, free Luigi. Honestly, W Cuba. Free Luigi. And free Palestine. Benjamin Franklin of Hell, thank you for the 10 gift this subs. Peace, everybody.
Reviewing the P.O. box, Uncle Uger's face. Sudden discord at prop, great names take embrace. Tiny Bernie Sanders, LGBTQ Air Force. The whole left at your fingertips, on at your door. The H3 crowded debate, the Young Turks online show. 3 full fucking years of this, plenty more to go. 90-day fiance talks of champagne bourgeoisie. A Trump rally live reaction, a mass riot at DC. There he is again, Hasan is streaming. Hasan is streaming. There he is again.